Just wanted to remind everybody that the Global Summit is next week. It'll be in San Jose and run from the 15th to the 17th. Is anybody on the call planning on being there?
Normally, I will go. Actually, I went there every year, the last how many years. But this time, I cannot make it.
Oh, unfortunate. Yeah, they're going to have a. They're going to get a room, I think, over lunch. And I was hoping I would get the exact date and time and location, but I haven't seen that yet. But we were kicking around perhaps maybe hosting they were going to host kind of just a get together for the telco and edge teams. And on the telco call last week, they kind of kicked around an idea of perhaps maybe some of the people there had laptops and we could do kind of maybe an ad hoc joint telco edge meet, kind of a Zoom meeting, from the site, and kind of, maybe if people wanted to participate with some of the folks that were there while they were in the room talking. Would any of you guys be interested, if we could set that up to kind of join with the folks that are there? Would that be interesting?
John, this is Uzair. I'll be there.
You'll be there. Okay.
I actually also have a vendor that's showcasing sustainable edge hardware on our booth.
Fantastic. Okay.
So basically that. So yeah, and we do have a talk also.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll when I see them get the room and the day, I'll maybe send it out to the mail list for our edge team here. So if you're there and want to kind of join the folks, so it'll be kind of a joint telco edge get together, and so you can kind of meet some of the folks that are out there. That'd be great.
And John, I'm there on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see, what, if we can get this done and you're out there, get maybe some live feedback from the folks that are there and kind of, spur some conversation.
Hey, John,
I don't.
Lauren joined. He may have. Hey, Lauren, do you have any more information on the room and the time that was requested?
I looked in email. I didn't see anything yet.
Okay. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, hi, this is Lauren. I didn't catch your question there. He broke up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just wondering if you had more details on the meeting for the lunch meeting, what day it was, and the room number, anything?
Yeah, so we have a room set aside. Yeah, I have all that information. So we have a room set aside for a telco edge and an informal gathering to discuss, both state of the telco part of OCP, edge part of OCP, informal discussion of the state of the telco marketplace in terms of both products and deployment environments, and actually, things related to AI, especially on the edge, and AI related to 6G. So that date is Wednesday, October 16th. It's from over lunchtime from 12 to 1. And it's in room 230A, which is on the same level as the main halls or the OCP Expo show floor. You can grab your lunch and then come on over to room 230A, and we'll have an informal discussion about all sorts of interesting topics.
So I'm sorry, Lauren, was that 230 Able?
Two three zero A, yes.
Okay.
All right, 230A. Fantastic.
Yeah, we should probably send out a little blurb to. both
Yeah, I'm
mail
thinking
room.
like we should maybe send it to the mail list.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that later this week. So I'm starting to formulate that in my mind. I'll send it out to both the telco and the edge groups. And then, feel free in particular, if you guys, know of customers in the telco space in particular. We really want to get some customers, to join us if we can at this forum specifically. So I'll probably reach out to AT&T and do work to certainly if we have other customers or other customers that deploy on behalf of other customers, those would be great to have in this forum.
Yeah, I think Tangi is from China Mobile, but I think he said he was going to miss this one.
Right.
First time he'd missed the summit.
Yeah. Next week I have to go to India to attend a meeting. So that's the thing. Yeah.
Well, hard to be in your hometown when you're in India.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect until the beginning of the month.
Sure.
I have to go
So
there.
you're going to India Mobile Congress?
No, it's for the 3GPP, the wireless,
Okay.
3GP standard meeting. So it's like I attend 6 times per year around the world. This time, India had the Rabat.
Yeah, we had trouble with the OCP summit. It seems to have common dates with several of our telco related other meetings. So
Yeah.
it's a hard time of the year to get a meeting together without stepping on other standards' toes, it seems.
I remember before it was like September, middle September. That is perfect time.
Right.
Yeah, now it's October. So.
So I see we've got Dirk that is joining us. He's the expert on the DCMHS that we've been kind of kicking around, seeing if what we could do with MHS and kind of help maybe define some use cases to help some of the edge work that they're looking at. That may be also something that could be interesting to maybe bring up at that meeting next week.
Is this going to be at the OCP summit, John, in particular?
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be on Wednesday
Okay.
during the lunch period. On Wednesday, and the room number is 230A, and it's going to be both the Edge and Telco groups here are going to kind of get together, so sort of informally, just kind of have a
kind of like birds of a feather type session.
Exactly.
Everyone can talk about their favorite topic and what we'd like to see going forward with the groups. I think it'd be great to understand more about the the edge, the new edge effort in the DCMHS.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. I'm going to try to mark it down to see if I can get over there.
Yeah. And do you have a presentation on that as well during the summit?
We do. It'll be Thursday at 2:15, I think it is, Craig, if I recall correctly. And we'll be talking more about where, we're headed, and of course,
Sure.
a lot of that spin around, just to give you all a preview around, a new SCM module. It's one new vertical form factor focused, which is more conducive to the things that would fit in like an open edge solution, on a per node basis. And then we've been looking at modular timing solutions. So that might be something that, we can discuss a little bit and talk through what we're looking at. And, and then of course our HPMs sizes we're looking at, we can kind of walk through that and a couple other things too. So brainstorm how
Hey, Lauren, I think we're getting a lot of background noise from you.
I think he just muted. But yeah, if you think that'd be good topics to go over, we can talk about where there might be synergies and not and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, we were talking about maybe some folks there, we can set up maybe a impromptu Zoom session. For some of the folks maybe that aren't there, that could participate remotely as well. So we'll do maybe kind of a joint meeting from there, and if we can get that to work. Because that definitely would be interesting, I think, for some of us on the call, but who won't be able to make it, could still participate with the Telco and Edge teams there. Great. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to discuss today?
No, but I have a request for Tangi. When you go to the 3GPP, it'd be interesting if you would would present on like the AI inside effort for 6G.
I have to take some time because I'm heavily involved in the architecture team. The working group is SA2, and what you have described is SA1. It's like a service and a requirement part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one has just started. I think 6G project called the study item has just been created last month.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I haven't got involved in that one, but I need some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, anything it'd be nice to have a readout from 3GPP working the sessions that you attend on the next call, if you wouldn't mind.
Next call
Be
will
great.
be, let me see. Next call will be the 5th of November or 12th of November.
Yeah.
No, so it's the 5th of November or 12th of November. I have to check.
Okay.
Yeah, because for the 5th of November, I will not be here. The 12th, I have to check that one. Because I have talked to my colleague who is the rapporteur for the 6G study item. So she knows all the things.
Nice.
Yeah. So okay, so no problem. I will dig out. If I do have something to share, I will do it in November.
Okay.
If not, well, just give me some time because November is a hectic month for me. I have to go to Dublin to attend the meeting, and then Orlando another meeting. So it's and then Thanksgiving. So yeah, I have to shuffle around for November. But let me see.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, sure. Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, we'd love to have readouts from those things.
Sure.
So you brought up something, Craig, that caught my interest. As you said it, and I'm curious to if our Open Edge team has thought about much around AI and how that particularly inferencing at the edge and telco usages. It seems like you were kind of headed down with your question, Tianji, about have we done much study around how the open edge architecture could be beneficial to AI, particularly at the edge. And, I mean, I immediately what went to my mind is, a GPU on a sled, as an example. Or, but anyhow, just thoughts there. What have we discussed and where are we headed to there?
Well, I'll
Yeah,
let
so we've
John,
actually-
John can
Yep.
speak to that. It's a topic near and dear to his heart.
Yeah, so we started talking about this, Dirk, maybe last year, probably about this time, and it was really around adapting the edge for XR, AR, VR type use cases, and how trying to put GPUs at the far edge kind of flipped kind of all the work we were doing on its head, because like we were looking at, how to reduce power, getting the cooling down, all that thing, trying to get the energy consumption down. But then when you start wanting to do these, GPU type cases, and when we first started talking about this with the XR, as I said, then it starts to change the whole equation again, because now you're going to have, bigger footprints. You need more space, more cooling, more power. So that kind of started, I think, our kind of initial discussions around, how you would augment the edge architecture to start to incorporate GPUs, neural processors, other types of accelerators for these different kinds of workloads. And so that's kind of, we talked, I think, the last 2 meetings or so, trying to formulate, how AI now could also start to influence this. And that's, I think, kind of a lot of the topics that Lauren and whatnot, we kind of proposed that we could talk about also at this Birds of a Feather next week. So, we kind of kicked it around a little bit back in the XR era, and then now it comes back, I think even more vengeance. And, what would really be interesting is, then how do you share those resources with, say, both, telco workloads that have a lot of security and these types of issues, with kind of opening that up for other workloads. So how would you share these things in sort of a secure way that would let you bring other workloads, that would be working in harmony with, say, perhaps the same underlying resources that are being used to actually sort of run and manage and optimize the network from a AI being applied in the network. And then what's also interesting, and Craig, maybe you can talk about this too, is 6G starts to bring in just a lot of AI throughout the whole system as well.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things with 6G is there's actually really kind of 2 efforts, and maybe even 3 efforts with AI in the 6G stack. The one that I mentioned, the AI inside, is actually using AI techniques for the line coding. So where today we're using LDPC and Polar, depending on whether it's user plane or control plane function, there's now talking about using AI to have different encoding techniques, and then discovering those on the fly is one of the kind of ideas. And so rather than using a strict encoding like we do today, then the other is AI as a service. So this would be one of the use cases, kind of like today, we have the enhanced mobile broadband as a service, and then you have the ultra low latency as a service. So then there would be an AI as a service. And then there's also another effort under management, which would be the use case of having AI actually analyze some of the workflows that are going on, and then to help operate the network. So,
So that last,
really, go ahead.
yeah, the last one, Craig, we at Intel, we've been getting a lot of momentum there with several of the carriers and working things. And one of the things that you and John both mentioned was that the power that GPUs bring and things of that nature. And
I didn't say nothing about that. That was John. I'm hoping that we'll have acceleration, like advanced stuff on on the GPPs myself,
So
but yeah.
what we've been able to do, and some of the things we've been able to showcase, is that, you know, frankly, some of these things using open RAG techniques to be able to optimize the network,
Yep.
it's something that's well understood. But the way that it was originally done was using 3 or 4 pretty large GPUs, which are
Mhm.
expensive and power hungry. And what we've been able to do is showcase that using Intel's AMX instructions,
Right.
you can easily run these LLMs to be able to do this network optimization, you know, without, you know, increasing your power or your physical
Yeah.
footprint at all. You know, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the kind of mentality where my head has been going down, is how do we, you know, we add a new instruction, or we add a new accelerator that we plug into one of these sleds, you know, that is already there, that can do
Yes.
the workload, because a lot of the
Yeah.
inferencing and the
Yeah.
optimization at the edge, frankly, isn't, you know, real time's only as fast as you need it. And the reality is you don't need the response time to be that fast in a lot of these applications, Craig. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's you know,
Well,
you need the memory
so
footprint, though, you know.
so Dirk,
Uh,
what I'm talking about, so that this is the AI inside. So, or you know, the LDPC today is either, you know, you either have to have the ACC board or an EE accelerator. And so that what the idea with the AI inside though is that you would use the inference to be able to allow the user equipment to choose the best encoding rather than having strict LDPC, which is not very software friendly. It likes hardware better than software. And so, but there are encoding techniques for the line coding that can be used, but it requires the ability for you to determine during runtime to change the encoding to match what the UE is sending you, rather than, you know, having like the LDPC running all the time that requires, you know, it's real. It was designed for hardware, to be honest,
Yep.
right? An XOR gets you a long way. A couple of those where it's much more difficult to decode that in software, and not on the edge. I mean, right, your user device is able to handle that, but once you aggregate a lot of UEs together at that at the, you know, the L1, you then have a problem of doing that in software, and we've always had to have some kind of acceleration to do that. And so that's what we're now looking, or is my understanding of what 6G, the 3GPP AI inside effort is about, of changing those line coding techniques to use AI to be able to help you change those on the fly rather than having to have them a priori like we have them today.
That could be interesting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
Dirk. Also, one
that's
of the things
much more interesting to me than like the maintenance and the management of the system, and, you know, how things are working and that kind of optimizations, right? 'Cause, you know, this inside the line coding part is the part that we've not, you know, that's really what's keeping, you know, Cloud RAN, if you will, from occurring right now, right?
Yeah.
That's the heavy lifting that we've not been able to solve with GPP and software.
yeah, Dirk, one of the things we also kicked around is with the increase in just cores on the die. Like you said, you know, some of these AI things don't need like extremely low latency, and you know there are just pure software distributed compute type techniques that could utilize multi cores to do that parallel processing. You know, that like rather than requiring a GPU with the heat and the power and the space, you know, if we could start to leverage, you know, the fact that there's becoming more and more of these cores that could be maybe put to use in that way, you know, so that wouldn't necessarily be as low latency, but it would be, tolerable enough that you could basically just do distributed compute on the cores.
Yeah, you don't care about it because it's not required, essentially. So yeah, it gets back to my old military defense days, John. Whenever we talk about real time and what it meant, real time is only required to be as fast as what's required for the application.
Right, and it doesn't necessarily mean that if your software is written for real time that it's going to run faster than regular software. Oftentimes it runs actually slower, but it has bounded latency. So, yes, it doesn't necessarily mean it runs faster. Most likely slower, but at least everything has bounded response times.
Yeah.
Deterministic.
Lauren, trying to jump
Yeah.
in
So.
there? I don't know.
Yeah. So Dirk, some of the questions I have are, my kind of working model for all this edge stuff is that we have a bunch of providers out there that do content distribution networks. And they've already kind of solved the problem of static content versus dynamic content versus how the application works with creating those dynamic web pages and stuff. So I look at this kind of as CDN networks wanting to augment themselves with the ability to run, GPUs, or, as was just discussed, parallel workload on a processor that has 100, couple hundred cores maybe, or 100 cores, somewhere between 100 and 200 cores. How does Intel see that? And I, at one point last year, was kind of asserting to people that Intel is trying to move some of these GPU workloads back into standard CPUs by doing chips with 112 cores. I think was the one that I had read about it.
Well, we have some that's 288 cores that Zane announced last year, Lauren, at OCP Global. In a dual socket scenario, you're up well over 500. So the reality is that Intel has invested in new instruction sets, such as the AMX instruction sets that we've done, to drive a lot of these workloads and these kind of capabilities forward. And we certainly have introduced core counts that have been untouched to this point in time. But with that said, the reality is that a lot of these workloads, I think people still associate with doing them on a GPU, and they don't. They think about, hey, can I do this on a CPU? And I think that could be an interesting piece where this work stream could look at some of these various applications maybe and showcase how our kind of a open edge solution it could be quite nice and suited to be able to offer some of these different AI type, and that's that anyhow. And I certainly think from an Intel perspective, we're trying to present the choice and flexibility for the customers, because we're obviously offering up our Gaudi solutions, as you all have, I'm sure everybody's heard about, as well as the CPU options, and we're going to let, in my mind, we're going to let the market decide, which way is the best way to go. So, and it may be a different answer depending upon the application, Lauren, if you know what I'm saying. So, how much accuracy do you need? How much latency do you need? And that may dictate what you're doing. But one of the big things that we're getting back is that, hey, when you look at these GPUs, they're usually limited to under, 100 gig of memory, and to run a 350 billion parameter LLM, you're going to need, memories that are minimum 128 gig and probably 256 in reality. And you get that for free with the CPU, if you know what I mean. So, and you got to have 2 or 3 GPUs to do that kind of functionality. If you don't need the latency or you don't need the accuracy, we need to start to understand where these applications are. The CDN workload you talked about, the workload, maybe the line coding with some acceleration pieces, and I do think system management too. But I think this team could actually think about some of those workloads, and then we could go off and maybe try to showcase how they could be done, and these, utilizing our open edge hardware. That could be an interesting study you know, um,
You know, I agree. I agree with that stuff. You know, kind of the issue in all of this is that, you know, when you go to the GTX conference from NVIDIA, I went this year for the first time and I looked around and go, you know, only about, you know, 10, 15, 20% of the space was actually about hardware, right? The rest of it was about tools and applications and how you use the stuff. So part of the issue here is, you know, you presenting all these alternatives on where you could run it, but what's the tool chain that helps customers or application developers get there, right?
yep.
And in some sense, we can, you know, OCP as a hardware-oriented group, we can ask those questions, but it gets a bit hard because we're not, and just my opinion, right? We're not necessarily tool chain experts or application experts in terms of understanding this stuff. We want to support those environments with what products we bring through OCP. But I don't know. Just comment. What do you think?
I agree with that statement, and I think one of the beauties of using x86 is that most of those tool chains, if not all of those tool chains, are supported natively on the x86 architecture, be it Intel or AMD, Craig, you know, already, including NVIDIA.
Is
You know, I
this
mean,
is this the Python stuff or the
yeah, PyTorch, you know, Python, all this,
PyTorch, et cetera?
all of that stuff is supported natively. You know, it was all originally written actually for x86 and imported to GPUs in general. You know, that's a generalistic statement. You know, but pretty much all this stuff exists. So I think that if we do take an approach of understanding, you know, what tools are required, and then look at how our hardware could be implemented around that you know, bring it to market kind of mentality, because you have the best widget in the world, Craig. You know, it's funny, you being from Nokia, I remember I took one of our IXP processors. I don't know if you remember those things back in the day, which was a multi-core, you know, processor. And before multi-cores existed, and the guy at Nokia sat there and looked at it and said, "This is awesome. Yeah, it's going to take me 5 times as long to take it to market as it is for me just to go buy a Sonnet framer or whatever today." You know, so it's that same kind of mentality. So I do think that the tool chain and the software offerings are critical, but I think we could define the hardware around what we know about the software that already exists, you know, and what those tool chains, where they already exist. Like I said, around x86, around NVIDIA GPUs in particular, you know, are two key areas where those things exist. And over time, I think that, you know, you're going to see more availability from Intel, you know, through like the Gaudi accelerators and our ARC accelerators, and AMD through their GPU solutions have the same support for those tool chains. But we can define essentially hardware solutions that, you know, are forward looking for that intercept, if that makes sense. Does that kind of make sense at all? Where I'm kind of going, it's almost like you got to think of the problem backwards, Craig. You know, you almost got to say, okay, how do you take this product to market, and what tools exist to do it? And then kind of look at it backwards from that standpoint to understand what hardware that we can apply to the next generations of Open Edge. Is that, you know?
Well, no, man, you know, I've been on the AVX train. I'm looking forward to AMX and how we can use it as well. You know, I mean, because it's not just those instructions, it's the rest of the instruction set that I already know how to use as well. So it is about, you know, the application. You just have to, you know, continue to evolve your software.
I agree,
Advantage
100%.
of those. Yeah. But no, we're all on board with you, and we would love to see, you know, these edge boxes have more capabilities. You know, as processors are available. And
Yeah.
you know, we're challenged. We're challenged in terms of a lot of these the small edge devices, in terms of the, you know, the heating and cooling of the thing. So heat produced, and then how do you cool it, right? Not heating and cooling like your HVAC, but you know, it's a much different situation when you're in a data center and you've got racks of these things and you can do some kind of, you know, get rid of that heat. It's a different thing when you're out in a hut somewhere and you don't have the ability to move the heat around, or really to get rid of the heat. You can move it around, but you know, you've got to get rid of it at some point. So, you know, generating less is better, as long as we can
Yes.
still get the same work done.
You know, maybe it makes sense to go back and review some of the technology related to current CPUs and their power envelopes.
Yep.
And also, you know, GPUs. I think we all understand that in an edge environment, you know, the most space you're going to get is, you know, PCI Express slot of some sort, either a single high or maybe a double high. I know a lot of the GPU vendors are coming out with, you know, next round of GPUs are going to include both the OAM form factor for high power stuff, but also PCI Express versions for, you know, lower power usages, or you know, figuring out how much processing power you can get for a set of wattage that actually fits in a PCI Express form factor. So maybe we can, you know, kind of bound the problem by looking at CPUs, looking at GPUs, seeing if there's any, you know, boundary conditions in terms of here's the set of constraints under which, you know, the current new CPUs and new GPUs and a PCI Express, or I don't know if anybody's putting them into the OCP 3.0 mezzanine form factor or not.
Well, there's
some
the
of-
new
some of-
there's the new DSFF too, where it's
Yes.
going to give you more power, Lauren. But I'm
Yeah.
hearing what you're saying. What you're saying is resonating with me. You know, tremendously. I think that's a problem we can solve. You know.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, well,
And
moving
that's
away from the large form factor on the
yeah,
is a good move for the OCP.
and we
form
could
factor.
probably, you know, if we could take a look
Plug-in.
at what's currently happening, then, you know, either, you know, make statements that kind of validates it for edge environments and deployment environments we know about, or, you know, give direction back to the industry about, you know, if you don't want to do this stuff on the edge, you know, here's the constraints that make sense. You know, we've had discussions about, you know, liquid cooling on the edge and stuff. Probably this is a continuing discussion where certainly AI stuff, you know, maybe the real candidate for using liquid cooling on the edge. That kind of you know, interaction between you know, given either using just air cooled or actually using some liquid cooling for the really hot components, you know, what could we specify as being a good set of technology to pull into the edge for running these AI workloads, you know, especially in the inference mode, right? I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
You think about you know, today you've got, say, take your the Apple AI on the iPhone, right? So obviously you're able to do that in a form factor that you can hold in your hand and put in your pocket. The question becomes, you know, how much do you need in order to do the application that you're looking for? If you're looking for, like, you know, management of the hardware, those kinds of things, I don't think it's going to take that much, you know, horsepower necessarily, meaning the to help you manage your hardware using some of these inference models that's already been generated is not going to be that great, right? I think you can certainly get that.
Yeah.
You get
No,
into the form factor.
yeah,
You're carrying it around with you in your pocket. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there is a dichotomy here in terms, right? In terms of using AI to actually run your hardware on the edge and make it more efficient. And or, you know, some of what's being talked about, the telco's doing and even the 3GPP for 6G, right, which is AI as a service, right? So running AI on the edge, using customer applications instead of using it to optimize your network or whatever. So they're kind of a split between it. I think part of what you're saying is that maybe the stuff that's related to actually running the hardware more efficiently, that kind of AI is not so heavy. But certainly, running it as AI as a service for customers, that's where some customer could easily, overstep the boundary of what the hardware could handle on the edge. I think.
Yeah, and one of the things too that we talked about was going beyond just your traditional network operator type customers, but then also there's kind of this initiative that's starting to fire up called neutral hosts, and the kind of idea is that these are the tower operators now. So when when the mobile operators kind of sold off their towers, these guys now kind of become a new potential for deploying these things kind of at the base of the tower, since they've got sort of the real estate and that connection to that very last mile part. So where maybe we've seen in the past where traditional network operators have been a little shy to kind of do some innovative things. What I'm seeing with these neutral hosts is, they're kind of like next gen cloud type guys. They're looking at hosting workloads and things at these sites that can take advantage of the fact that they are that kind of connection.
And I think that's going into the network, John, where the data can be public. Where you can deal with some of those things. I mean, it could be content delivery that I think Lauren may have mentioned earlier. I know that we did a demonstration though with China Mobile and TNG. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this demonstration, but we did a demonstration with China Mobile at a conference earlier in the spring, to where we showed a multi-node server, and we were doing private data files like for healthcare, and it almost goes the other way, to where you want to take a multi-node server and be able to offload an LLM for a doctor that is doing a diagnosis for, medical imaging or something like that, John. You know what I mean? So it's, the same kind of mentality can be used for, public data, but private data may have to push into the enterprise as well. And I think that's an opportunity, frankly, that I don't know that we've ever really explored a whole lot with OpenEdge. I know we've looked at the retail space some with, Target and a few others in the past, but yeah, and I think we've had some success there, but I do think that's another scenario we need to consider,
Absolutely. Yep.
So this sounds like a great topic for next week to maybe dive in a little bit more into.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that was kind of Lauren's intent, was to, kind of get people face to face and get some good discussion going.
And see, we didn't have nothing to talk about till we heard the word AI,
Yeah. Well, and Lucas has done some work with OpenEdge and liquid cooling. So they had done some research there as well. So yeah, very interesting. Well, good. Any other topics? It looks like we lost Adilko. I was hoping maybe she could give us an update on Starling X, but it looks like she dropped. Yeah, I don't see her. Okay. Anybody have any other topics they want to talk about? All right. Going once. Going twice. All right. Looks like we're a wrap for this month. And looks like some people are ready to go next week, and look forward to kind of hearing how things go. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. Kirk and I won't be able to make it next week, but I think Lauren's going to be there. And Kirk, if you're there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work on getting a an online setup for that hour meeting and see if we can pull in you and others as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, you give me incentive now that you're not going to be there. Now I'm more incentive to try and set that up.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that would be a good
Yeah, that'd be cool.
good thing to do, and we can kind of advertise it and get kind of do a extra telco edge Zoom session. Okay.
Well,
if
let
there's
me work with. I'll work with Mike and see if we can get that set up officially ahead of time with all the information for that session.
okay, if you could just be informal if somebody wants to just pop open their laptop and we just do a Zoom call.
Yeah. But we schedule Zoom calls all the time, or they're scheduled all the time, right, through the application at OCP and stuff. So I assume we could just have somebody set up a time for that officially there, and same procedure as we do with all these meetings and stuff.
Yeah. So Lauren, I mean, we this is our conference call number. And so basically we can start a call anytime we want.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be a problem. I mean, in an ad hoc fashion, right? I'm saying I don't think we're going to be able to get OCP to support us like like they do in the rooms and stuff with those guys running the videos.
No,
right?
I agree. We just call it up on a PC and set the PC in the right place so the video works and all that.
I mean, so it'll be just the same conference number that we use every month for the calls, and then
So we can actually just take that link and publish it or include it in the okay.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys want, if you need to have like an ad hoc meeting anytime during the month or whatever, then this is always available for OCP Telco Edge usage. This conference number is not shared with any of the other projects.
Yep. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I guess we should have known that from the training early on, huh?
Yeah. No worries.
Anyway.
It didn't used to be that way, by the way, until about a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, learn something every day.
So we can just send out an invite, pop this Zoom info in it, and you guys go to the room, turn it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, that's I like it. That's easy.
That's easy. Yep.
Yep. It's all within our control.
All right. Thank you all.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good conversation. We'll talk to you later.
Talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.